Okay, this was just originally a test of the different film speeds and then slowing them down to 24 frames a second. One thing I did notice was that when you don't control where that camera's shooting, it might be better to use the 4:3 aspect ratio. You'll get a lot more usable footage, like in something like this. You'll notice as soon as I kick over to the 20 frames a second, which is DVD quality, letterbox, 16 by 9, it doesn't use the full sensor from top to bottom, so you get a lot less usable video. When I went through the usable video I had, and I jumped as many times on the trampoline as I did at the 4:3 at the 100 frames a second, um, I only had like 2 seconds of video footage that actually had enough to actually show anything uh, in the letterbox format. That's this right here. So at 120 frames per second, slowed down to 24. That was it. That was all I had that was even interesting. Everything else was either too fast and there was nothing really in it to show. Now I slowed it down to this is still 16 by 9 in this format at 240 frames a second, but it's so slow that you can actually get some footage off of it. So that would be, I always wondered when I first got this camera, why would anybody even film in 3:4 ratio? Um, and it would be like if you're not controlling where that camera's pointing, like say you put it on a weather balloon or something like that, throw that puppy in wide and put it in a format that's going to use the full sensor from top to bottom as well, not just from left to right, to get more usable footage. And you can always crop it to letterbox later if you wanted to. Again, also here I discovered that protunes might work better at the 240 setting in low light. You can see it changing the ISO settings when it's slowed down, which of course if you set it in Protune and fix the ISO at a fixed ISO setting, it wouldn't do that. So that's just something to play with, something to consider when you're really going to slow it down that far. You may want to consider using Protunes. I'll experiment with that later. So this was just a stupid little test. I also, just for kicks, played with the color correction, fast color correction in Premiere. Increased the saturation to 150%. Set the black level, the white level, and the gray level. And that's all I did with the color on this, just playing with it. So that's my thoughts for this little test. And it was just something stupid, and I was bored. By the way, the GoPro did not even get hurt in this little test, so I figured it wouldn't, considering they've used this thing on Fast and Furious footage and had it flying off cars that are doing flips and crashes and everything else, and it held up in those kind of conditions, so it should hold up to a trampoline.